Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to NBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome in on a beautiful Tuesday evening here on the Film Guy Network. We got a loaded show for you guys coming up tonight. We're gonna kick it right off the bat. You know what? It's been almost like a month. We have almost a month, 5 weeks of takes just built up. Okay, a lot of them are right. Some of them are wrong. All right, but we were right and we were wrong through the first, 2.5 weeks. I count that week 0 as a half week. I don't know about you guys. It's not week 0. It's not week 1. It's week 0.5. All right, and it's very weak, if you will. But we've been up to about 2.5 weeks of college football, and we've got some takes built up, and we figured we'd start tonight's show with a little game of where we were right, where we were wrong. All right, and I'll start off the bat right now with a where I was right. We already talked about it a little bit last night, but Alabama's offensive line, we spoke about it this offseason about how it was almost laughable. Laughable is the wrong term. It connotes some I don't know, harbored feelings towards the opinion, and we don't really have that. But kind of laughed at the idea that you were just going to be able to show up in 2023 and just run over football teams. That's not really how this works anymore. The football's become a bend but don't break sport even more than ever before with regards to defense. So you can live with whatever you want to live with inside the 20s, but once we get you inside that box and make you actually process information and make you play within a phone booth and you can't just lean on people for 4 quarters or worse, we make you score in rapid session, right? We score quickly offensively and make you feel the pressure of maybe a 14-point deficit or a multiple score deficit. In other words, the idea that you're just going to be able to lean on people. We laughed at it. We said it's not a winnable proposition entering a football season. When you're in a sport that revolves around quarterback play, we were certainly right in that department. We told you last week, hey, love the freshmen. Love the fact that they've recruited in the top 5%, top 3% over the last 3 or 4 years at the University of Alabama. But just because you recruit well doesn't mean that freshmen aren't still freshmen, right? You stick freshmen out there, you're probably going to get some type of freshman results, okay? I think you got that Saturday night in Caleb Downs and Caden Proctor. Both are going to be, I think, first-round football players when all is said and done. But they go through learning curves, no different than Malachi Starks had at the University of Georgia. We listened to Kirby Smart this week talk about during his pressers, hey, it's fun to watch Malachi last year against these opponents when we go back and scout and reevaluate and then look at him now. He's a totally different, more confident football player. Duh, you do things more often, you're going to get better at. But we were certainly right there. Wanted to start off with a right. Let's get you to a wrong. In that same football game, I missed on Sark, at least for this week, right? We talked about going into the football game, how we didn't really trust Sark in big football games. I certainly didn't trust his ability to finish football games. We've been espousing the 5-1 score loss football games from last year. They were 8-5 last year. 5 of those losses, all 5 of those losses were 1-score football games. We've been telling you that over and over again. Well, I went back and really dived into it last night or this morning looking at these notes. 3 of those 5 football games, they had a fourth quarter lead. They had the exact recipe that they had Saturday night in Tuscaloosa 5 times last year. 3 out of those 5 times, they lost that football game. All right? They finished a football game that they didn't finish at all last year, and we didn't believe that they could. So I was certainly wrong on that point. Boys, give me one. Where were you right? Where were you wrong so far to start the season?
So far, I'm right about Duke being a top 15 football team.
Love being right about the Dukies.
Yeah, I was right about that one so far. Hopefully that Riley Leonard and them will keep treating me right on that one. I think I was wrong about Texas. I honestly didn't think that they had a shot. Shouldn't say I didn't think they had a shot on Saturday, but I wasn't necessarily a believer in them being able to go in there and beat Alabama. And then I'll admit I was wrong about Colorado. I was absolutely wrong about Colorado.
Don't dump the clip yet. Just hold your wrongs, man. We don't want to be totally wrong here, okay?
Yeah, so I feel like I was right about Joe Milton. I'd never really bought into this Heisman hype that he's getting, and he's still in a good standing for the odds as far as Heisman odds are concerned. But I don't see the electricity that everyone's talking about. He still has accuracy issues. He still makes bad reads every now and then. So I think for the most part, I was right about Joe Milton.
This is why I didn't want you to dump the clip, because I didn't want you to steal all my rights or my wrongs like he just did. I was right about Joe Milton as well. Now, he might eventually develop into something, but again, we talked about it. And if you didn't listen to Talk the Dog, welcome into the National Hour. Appreciate you for being here. We do talk national college football here on the Film Guy Network, and we're pretty good at it, we believe. Amen, boys?
Amen.
But anyways, we talked about it in that hour how for a guy that can throw the ball across the hemisphere, I mean, the sumbitch can throw it a mile. All we talk about with Joe Milton is how great the arm talent is, how good of an arm he's got, how strong of an arm he's got. And then the moment film or the moment football requires him to throw a ball into a tight window because the read has closed or the corner played it well or the safety sunk into the spot where he was supposed to be, whatever the case may be, he just backs off of it. He don't want nothing to do with it. It's just avoidance of all tight window throws. And then there's still the overthrowing issue that we constantly see with him. So haven't seen, and again, this is why we always harp on coaches doing the off-season, talking season stuff. If you got a quarterback or you think you got a quarterback, just shut up. Just don't talk. Don't talk about nothing. Because what did we hear from Heupel all off-season? How much development Joe Milton's shown. Mm-hmm. That's all I heard. All I heard all offseason is how great Joe Milton's fitting to be, how developed and how hard he works off the field about being a true professional at the quarterback position. Just be quiet, man. Because now we came into the offseason expecting so much growth from a football player that hadn't played football. He hadn't played football. Just go out there and say, we got to see it, right? We got to see it. That's all we got to see. So, yeah, we were 100% right. Where were you wrong?
I was wrong about Colorado.
Everyone was.
Yeah, I did not think they would have the start they did. I thought that it was kind of gimmicky what Deion was doing. He was kind of just getting all the attention on him just so he could build it up. I didn't think they would have this level of success. They still have a long ways to go, but they are much farther ahead than I thought they would be at this point.
Yeah, I think everyone kind of missed on that one. I don't think anyone expected them to have or to be so clean in operational football to start the football season. And again, we talked about Shadur. Everyone's talked about Travis. I wonder how many national analysts, and this is probably my fault for not listening to a bunch of them, how many are out here talking about how clean operationally they are? How they don't, I mean, go look at how many penalties they've had. I would love to know. How many penalties in 2 football games has Colorado had? Whether it be too many men on the field or we got 2 number 3s on the field. Like freaking Florida. Florida, that staff's been there 24 months, and they still running 2 number 3s out on the field. They still got 8 guys out on the field goal unit, right? They still having pre-snap penalties where they have illegal formations or just minor details about football that you would think, by the way, they just got there. They got there in January, right? They just got there. What do you got?
They have 15 penalties on the season.
Total.
So
averaging about 7.5 a football game. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Which means it's horrible. It's not great.
It's not great, and they play a lot of snaps, I believe. Mm-hmm. They play fast, and they've played in football games that have played fast. So not actually 100% clean, right? The stat didn't come back, 7 total penalties. It came back 15, but I've been impressed, and I think it's okay to say that you were wrong. Like this right here, I was wrong on Wisconsin, man. And they ended up losing to Washington State, and I understand that Pullman is a weird place, and weird shit happens on the road out there in the Pac-12, and they got Pac-12, no different than Oregon got Big 12 this past weekend. Even though they escaped that one, Wisconsin was unable to. And we talked about how good of a football coach that Luke Fickell is, and I believe that he's going to end up, okay out of Wisconsin. But what you can't overcome is abhorrent offensive line play. And all it took, you go watch just the highlight package of Wisconsin. I ended up watching the game live for some reason. I know why. Late game. That's why it was on the television. It was one of the ones that we could catch. Left tackle turnstile. Absolute turnstile out at left tackle. And they had 3 fumbles on the game, 2 of which were strip sack fumbles because the left tackle was a turnstile. So we can try to become a a football team that changes our identity. But if we don't change our roster to change our identity, we're in trouble. And I think what Wisconsin's got, and this is the oversight in my preseason analysis, they did have experienced offensive line play. But they had experienced offensive line play in Wisconsin style of offense. That sumbitch at left tackle probably ain't kick slide like that ever. Like he ain't never had 35, 40 reps at a true kick slide. And that's probably why he got beat on speed rush both times. Both times, big time speed rush losses. Not just sacks, critical sacks Saturday. I was wrong about Wisconsin. Any others?
I was right about Oregon State. I thought they were going to be a really decent team this year. Everyone was kind of, Oregon, USC, Pac-12, all that stuff. I think Oregon State's a really solid football team, and I think DJ Uiagalelei is a good quarterback, and he's shown that so far. Their offensive line looks really good too.
I think we collectively were kind of right about the Pac-12 as a whole. As
Yeah.
like you're really top heavy, but then outside of that,
I still can't believe we got pressed on that.
It gets dark
last night.
real quick because USC played Stanford this past week.
Yeah,
that's
and
what.
drummed them.
It was so bad. So
Drummed
like, that's how different it is. Like the top tier teams in that conference versus the bottom.
The only mediocre team in the Pac-12 that's like, all right, 7-5, good, solid 7-5 team, UCLA.
Yeah.
UCLA, good, solid 7-5 football team. And I think next year they're going to be a good, solid, maybe potentially 10-2 football team because Dante Moore's going to be that next year, I believe. Arizona State, abhorrent, bad, really bad. Cal, just bleh, really bad. Bleh. Don't want no parts of that blue and yellow. But yeah, you're right. Pac-12, big, super top heavy, and thick, 5, 6 deep now.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna throw Colorado in that mix now, right? Colorado, Utah, neutral field. Who you got?
Oh God.
Cam Rising, first game back. I'll give you that. First game back, Cam Rising, Colorado, Utah, neutral field.
I think I like Colorado's chances of outscoring Utah.
That's where we're
Where's
at.
the neutral game being played?
Atlanta,
All right.
Texas. Nah, screw it, Atlanta.
I'll take Utah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's where we're at though, right? We came into the season with Utah being a preseason top 12 football team.
Yeah.
Okay, beating a Florida team with their backup quarterback, and now we're sitting here and we've got kind of a toss-up football game between them and Colorado on a neutral field. That's absurd.
Yep.
That's how great that first 2 weeks at Colorado's been. And while we're on the topic, we might as well talk about it. Colorado's putting up absolute freaking numbers, guys. Absolute numbers. They played an unranked Nebraska team, beat them by 25. Beat them by 25 on Saturday. And they had 8.7 million viewers at a noon
For
kick.
a noon kick.
A noon kick. 8.7 million. And that number might not sound like a lot, especially when you compare it to what the Kansas City Chief and Detroit Lions number came back at. There was 27 million people watching that football game. The biggest number and biggest rating in terms of live TV rights since the Super Bowl. Okay, so that's how big professional football is. We know that. But just to put this in context for college football, 8.7 million viewers, Colorado, Nebraska. We think the biggest game of the season potentially, in regular season, on schedule, on paper, was Alabama, Texas, right? We believe. National brands, great football, top 10 matchup, 4-quarter football game, great, prestigious brand on ESPN, guaranteed, Kirk Herbstreit on the call, guaranteed huge number, right?
Right.
Colorado beat it.
No way.
Swear. 7.8 million tuned in
What?
for the Texas-Alabama football game. Deion Sanders is putting up absolute numbers. So much so that College Game Day is going out there this week for Colorado
And
State.
Fox will be there.
Huh?
And Fox
And
will be
Fox
there.
will be there.
That's crazy.
It's insane. And I don't know, this is what made me think about it driving over here. Is this because people want to see Colorado just because they want to see them, they're entertaining? Or is this number because there's that many people out here in this world waiting for Deion to lose?
I think it's both. When's the last time Colorado's had this much attention on him? So it's fresh,
Never.
It's always exciting when there's like a new team to the table. Like last year when Tennessee got really good, they hadn't been that nationally dominant in 20 years. That was exciting to watch. It's going to be the same with Texas this year. But when you have a team that's never been in this position, it's a lot of fun to watch. I think that's why a lot of people are tuning in as well.
I think, too, what a lot of it had to do with is that after week one, maybe people weren't really watching and tuning in to Colorado TCU. Then people start hearing all this buzz about, oh, Travis Hunter is amazing. Shedeur Sanders, he's legit. Deion Sanders might actually put Colorado in a winning position where they can win more than their predicted 3.5 games this season. And so then week two rolls around, you got Nebraska. And people are like, well, let me see. Let me see it from my own eyes. I want to see if Shedeur Sanders is legit. And I want to see how good these Buffaloes are in week two. And so I think that's a lot of it. And so now at this point, it is what you're saying. I think people now are tuning in, like, how long can you keep it going? If the train is going to fall off the rails, when is it going to happen?
The Buffaloes. Hey, make sure you got me a hot mic over there on Streamlabs. I think I might have messed with the microphone. I'll make sure I didn't hit the mute button.
You look good.
We're good. Never know.
Just for reference,
what's up?
What do you think last year's national championship did in numbers?
13.5.
17.
17.2. 17.2.
Which is what? That's about half. Colorado did about half of that.
Yeah.
A little over.
That's insane.
Colorado, Nebraska, by the way. Again, that's peak audience, I think. Yeah. Peak audience at 8.7. So I would imagine the retention numbers were much, much higher on that Texas and Alabama football game. But that doesn't matter. Peak audience matters for most of these television ratings, and that's insane. What matters around here is retention rates, okay? So if you watch us and you love us, just leave it up. Don't ever close it out, all right? Just keep watching that sucker and get that time retention put up. We appreciate you guys for doing that. Also, welcome in. How about that? 20 minutes into NBR, Nothing But Rants, the show where we find topics that we're oddly passionate about and we pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes we're hot about. Guys, what a loaded show. We got a great one for you. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, and rate and review and all that good stuff. If you missed any portion of tonight's show, it will be readily available, however, wherever you catch your podcast. All right? Appreciate you guys. We got a loaded one for you. Colorado, we just talked about it, pulling numbers. Already did where we were right, where we were wrong. Florida and Tennessee, best game of the football slate, I believe, this weekend. We'll tell you why. We'll give you a preview of that football game and a prediction for that football game. LSU, Mississippi State, will give you the same thing in that one if we get to it. Bama's path to winning out. A lot of people marking them out. I saw some ESPN articles today, already nixing them, already throwing them out to the wayside. Don't do it yet. Still some college football left to be played for the Alabama Crimson Tide. And should Ohio State fans start to panic? We'll talk about that right now. Ohio State, obviously a big, notable topic in college football. The biggest brand, I think, in college football. I know that's crazy to think about. They are the biggest university, biggest public university in the country, I believe. Like 80,000 students.
Yeah, it's pretty
at Ohio State. If you include all of their, satellite campuses, all that good stuff, which could be fugazi numbers, I don't know. But nonetheless, they pull huge numbers too. So much so that I've seen TV networks kind of moving away from that Notre Dame-Ohio State game. You will not see another good game scheduled at 8 o'clock. You watch. They'll stay away from it because everybody knows national audience will be pulled in to Ohio State, Notre Dame. We will be too. But Ohio State fans, 35 points against Youngstown State, 23 points against Indiana. The boys put a proposition up on the show notes, and I thought it was a good one. Where's the panic meter? How high should this panic meter be? Is there a reason to be panicked? Should they be panicked? Where would you put it? Let's put it at 50%. Right in the middle. Let's put it right in the middle, and here's why. I think there's a multitude of problems at Ohio State right now, but I think you can really boil it down to 3. Okay, your season boils down to 3 problems right now. Most people think number 1 reason would be quarterback play. I'm going to avoid that one until point number 2. I'm going to talk about point number 1 that I don't think a lot of people are talking about with regards to the Ohio State Buckeyes. Guys, they replaced 3 NFL football players on that front last year. 3. The center, 3-year starter, great football player in the league. DeJuan Jones, 3-year starter, great right tackle in the league, starting for the Cleveland Browns. Paris Johnson, 3-year starter, great left tackle in the league. Right now, 7th overall draft pick. Guys, they replaced really, really great football players up front, not just a great quarterback, all right? So it's noticeable. That offensive line hasn't played great through 2 football games. There is noticeable, obvious pressure, okay, on the quarterback right now. at Ohio State, and that's something that's new for them. They normally play in clean pockets up there. It's part of the reason why the revolving door of quarterback play has never really affected a Ryan Day offense. It kind of is right now because they got pressure at their feet. That brings us to point number 2. The quarterback play hasn't been great. All right, it really hasn't. I went back and watched the Indiana game. I talked about it a little bit earlier. I thought Indiana did a great job of not only playing a multitude of coverages, but disguising coverages. If I have a young quarterback that hasn't played a lot of college football and hasn't seen a lot of coverage, well, we're going to play a multitude of coverage. And we're not only going to play a multitude of coverage, we're going to disguise coverage. Quickest way to mess up a young quarterback: change his pre-snap read to his post-snap read. Give him something pre-snap. Make it look totally different post-snap. You will get him to hold the football. That's exactly what happened against Indiana. So I thought they did a great job of just throwing different things at him and causing him to struggle. And you've got a quarterback right now that's also adjusting to the speed of the game and the processing of reads. You compound that issue with a porous offensive line, you're going to have some slow quarterback play. So there's reasons for these issues, if you will. It did look much better against Youngstown State from a quarterback play perspective from Kyle McCord. Okay, he ripped it with some confidence, and he was throwing the piss out of the football. I think that was noticeable. Random film thought here. Okay, really random film thought here. Dude, the core of Ohio State's play action right now is under center. That's very weird for me. It's very weird. We got a quarterback that hasn't played a ton of football, and we're making him turn his back to the defense. By the way, they've done it in years past. Not something they've done a ton of. They've been chest up. They've been eyes up. Quarterback always looking at the defense, always out of shotgun. Okay, there was some short yardage stuff. Yes, they would get under center. They'd pound you with some fullback occasionally. But I'm talking about like multiple designed short yardage plays out of under center looks, even designing shot plays out of under center looks. Not something that's traditionally there for Ohio State. So just random with the film thought there. That was just interesting for me to see. That's not a problem, just a thought. The problem right now is offensive line play, quarterback play, and you might be wasting a finally good Ohio State defense. What in the hell? Ohio State's got a defense. Yes, they have a defense. And you might be wasting it because your offense not all that great so far to start the season. And problem number 3, this might be the biggest problem. This might be the problem why I've got you ranked behind others in your conference, particularly this school we're going to talk about. Of the 3 schools in the Big Ten that compete nationally every year, you have the worst quarterback situation of all 3. Michigan, J.J. McCarthy is better than both of your guys, significantly better. Drew Aller at Penn State right now, he's playing better than your guys. All right, he looks better. The ceiling looks better from a quarterback perspective than you. So in a sport and in a conference dedicated to quarterback play, outside of the matchup with Michigan, that one's dedicated to physicality and all that good stuff, but now they have a quarterback, you don't. That's scary. That's scary and a problem if you are Ohio State. Here is the good news. And believe it or not, there is good news. Dude, I thought the backup quarterback played really, really well. I did. I watched the Youngstown State highlights. I went back and watched Devin Brown, all of his snaps against that football team. That's a ball player. And it's not just because he's wearing 33. That dude's got some moxie. He's savvy. He picked up a personal foul on the sideline with a flop. This is a dude that's like, he knows how to play football. The arm looked lively. And by the way, if we're going to struggle with a little bit of offensive line play, you know who solves that? A quarterback wearing 33 who's mobile and good with his feet.
33.
He wears 33. It's badass.
I love it.
But here's what concerned me about this, I don't have secondary thoughts about my opinions, but it did concern me when I look into the comments, and bro, if they're not just Kyle McCord, if they're not just all over Kyle McCord, they're like, oh, clear as day starter, Kyle McCord. I'm like, dude, I watched 2 series and thought the other guy brought life to the offense, like extreme life to the offense. So, yeah, I don't think it's a terrible quarterback room, but it's not what the other is out there. So what do you think? You proposed the question. What's the panic meter?
I think it's you definitely need to be cautious. This is something you definitely need to look at and have concern towards. And no, it's not going to be the same as when you had Justin Fields or all those other guys. I think the other good news is that you look around the entire nation and there's still offenses around you that also seem to be having the same situations you are. Clemson, not good. Georgia seems to still be figuring things out. Michigan, they have a better quarterback, but they haven't lit the world on fire. There hasn't been an offense this season yet that has absolutely lit the world on fire that makes you go, oh, God, we need to get our shit together. So I think that you have plenty of time. Like I said, everything looks the way it is right now. We forget it's still week 3.
Yeah.
None of these teams have really played anyone yet other than Texas and Bama and LSU and Florida State. Everyone else has kind of just had these gimme games. We're still figuring things out.
10 days from now, we're going to find out.
Yeah, absolutely, when you play Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So I don't think you need to hit the panic button yet, but I do think it is a reason for concern.
It's a great comment here in the chat. They don't have as good a quarterback room as Notre Dame right now. Sam Hartman's playing better than anything they got coming out of their room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's interesting to me because, you have two different types of theories, I would imagine, going on at Ohio State where one quarterback is going to make us very, very reliant upon our wide receivers and our weapons, that being Kyle McCord. And golly, what a great school to have that problem. You know what I mean? You got Ibuka running around. You got Marvin Harrison Jr. running around. You got Julian Fleming running around. I mean, they got more weapons than they can ever deal with, right? Travion Henderson being a portion of the mix as well through the screen game and all that good stuff. But the other guy in Devin Brown, he's actually going to create a different running game for them as well. You watch him go into against Youngstown State. They kind of struggle to run the football with Kyle McCord. That's why they're darting everything through the air. I mean, he had 180 yards in the first half almost. But Devin Brown gets in there, and all of a sudden, Travion Henderson's carries look totally different. You know why? Backside edge is getting accounted for. Now, Georgia fans will listen to this, and they'll say, can't you say the same thing about Beck and Vandergriff? I would say I don't know if the competition was that close. The competition was far closer at Ohio State, which means the processing's not as close. Mm-hmm. Whereas if things break down and Devin Brown can't run away from people, seems like the processing's near as much as Kyle McCord's.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the stats, too, about Ohio State right now, this is kind of why I was kind of honing in on this question is because they're 70th in red zone conversion rate, 114th for third down conversion rate, 52nd in total offense, 88th in rushing offense, 29th in passing offense, and 78th in penalties.
Ugh.
Yeah.
The third down efficiency's nuts. But when I went back and looked at it, because I told you I watched every throw, a lot of third and nines. A lot of third and nines, a lot of third and tens. Not a lot of survivable stuff right there with regards to picking up the sticks. You had something?
Nah, I'm good.
Where are we going next? We hit where I was right. We hit where I was wrong. We already hit the panic meter.
So, I mean, you want to keep going panic. Is Bama, completely done?
I mean, you should panic. You should definitely be panicking. We'll address done here in a little bit, but you should definitely be panicking at Alabama. And we tried. Alabama fans, you know what they said in those comments? Well, okay, we won national titles running the football already. Yeah, 8 years ago. Dude, this is not the way football works anymore. We've shown you that. The history says elite quarterback play. If you don't have elite quarterback play, transcended defense, 34 points at home, multiple explosive touchdowns would prove to me that you don't have transcendent defense, okay? You got to have first-round caliber talent on the defensive side of the football. You've had that. You do have that. Dallas Turner is that, but he didn't play like that on Saturday. Dallas Turner, very, very quiet in that football game on Saturday. That's a point of concern. Do you not have enough weapons elsewhere that he's getting that much attention that he is not a weapon and he does not get off? Or is it that he is just not getting home because he's not getting home? Either way, both a problem, right? So, no, I don't think it's time to panic. Yeah, I think that's the other thing about that football game. They got beat.
Yep.
They just got beat. They got beat in the areas that you get beat. You get beat in explosives because you lost your one-on-ones. You got beat in the offensive line game because you lost your one-on-ones. Your quarterback didn't play good enough. It's not like you showed up flat. It's not like you had punt return issues or muffed punts or random turnovers.
Kick
you
sixes
had
and
kick
tip balls.
sixes. You didn't have funky stuff that got you beat. That stuff in years past, right? You didn't have transcendent quarterback play. Johnny Manziel wasn't running around, throwing all kinds of crazy shit, beating you. That's not how Saturday went down. Saturday, they lost for 4 quarters.
Yep.
From the moment it happened. And is that more concerning? Is that more concerning or less concerning? You're saying more concerning. You threw the grave on them yesterday because they just have so many errors. Is that why they got beat, because they're just not good enough?
I mean, the fact, like we said, every single Bama loss I've seen of the Nick Saban era in my memory has either been, it took Chad Kelly playing out of his mind and tip passes, or it took a Deshaun Watson, a Trevor Lawrence, a Joe Burrow. It took a kick six. Things like that. I have never in my life seen for 4 quarters an Alabama team get beat at the line of scrimmage. Their corners get beat. I've never seen that. So that's concerning. And like I said, all the things about Saban yesterday, it's not the same Bama team you've seen.
Yeah, really like the only outlier I can think of in recent Alabama losses was when Texas A&M beat them, and it was because Zach Calzada just somehow, some way turned into a totally different football player and was just lighting them up offensively. But, I actually wanted to know how many times Alabama has lost a regular season game and then proceeded to win out after that. So I looked it up. So Alabama's had 11 seasons under Nick Saban in which they have lost a regular season game. In 4 of those seasons, Alabama went on to win the rest of the way. In those 4 games, there's a trend, in my opinion. It was 2017 against Auburn. You lost in the last week of the season. Yeah. In 2015, you lost to Ole Miss in Week 3. 2012, you lost to A&M in Week 10. And then in 2011, you lost to LSU in Week 9. Majority of those were later in the season. Yeah. So, there weren't you didn't have to run the gauntlet.
Or they were extremely fluky, like the Ole Miss game.
Yeah, absolutely. But, yeah, so I thought that was interesting. But
have you seen their schedule, though?
It's an SEC slate the rest of the way. They get it. They get the tough ones at home, though, don't they?
Well, here's the thing. First of all, at South Florida.
Yeah, weird. Don't get that one.
That's the most random game I've ever seen in my life. But 3 of their next 4 games are away on the road. 3 of their next 4 games are on the road. Then their next 3 games following that stretch are Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU.
Who are the 3 road games?
Their 3 road games
One of those is South Florida?
One of them South Florida, then the other 2. I know they play Ole Miss at home, and then it's, I want to say, Mississippi State and one other team. So it's not like, oh, shit, we have to get our shit together. Then you close the season with Auburn on the road, and we all know about Jordan Hare.
Yeah, but we also all saw Peyton Thorne on Saturday.
Yeah, but it was bad.
It was so bad.
That was anemic.
It was so bad.
I was starving. I was waiting on my Airbnb or no, my Uber Eats.
Yeah.
I was waiting on it. Just absolutely starving. And by the time my food got here, I'd watched 3/4 of Peyton Thorne. I didn't even eat it. I didn't even eat it.
Was you that disgusted?
It was just that bad. It was that bad. Just kidding, Peyton. You weren't that bad. It was that bad. The offense as a whole was that bad. That football game. Worst football game I watched all year so far.
Yeah, me too.
And I watched all 4 quarters. Bad. Shouts out to the Marlboro Tigers. We got anything else on the subject? Any other teams needing to panic? What coaches should be panicking? Should Dave Aranda be panicking?
Yeah.
Yeah? Already on that one?
Yeah, I mean
they fought this week. They played Utah tight.
They did. It was at least a decent rebound from what you did in week 1.
Didn't get the doors blown off.
Yeah.
Nah.
Kind of lost on a bullshit call. At least didn't lose. Definitely should have had another free shot at the end zone with a PI.
Yeah.
But shouldn't even had a chance there. That game ended wild. Did you watch the end of that?
I saw the highlights where it's basically like a.
So they got the ball back with like 18 seconds left. Utah's in prevent. Somehow a Baylor guy gets behind a Utah DB, ends up catching the ball, getting out of bounds. So now they take a free shot at the end zone, and Utah gets away with a PI. End of game. But nuts. Shouldn't have even been in that position. Utah just absolutely almost shooting themselves in the foot. It's crazy.
So a couple of guys I would say probably you need to put on the panic meter. Billy Napier, Dabo Swinney. I don't think Brian Kelly you put on for the same reason. Not job security wise, but panic as in this might not be a national championship team. That might be your panic.
You might be squandering a national title chance, especially window, not chance, window. Bama's down. You got a second-year quarterback, a lot of talent. You're right. So panic from a squandering a window opportunity.
There's different types. There's job security panic,
point.
And then there's we might not reach our goals panic.
Yeah.
I think a lot of teams are reaching that right now.
There's a damn, I'm finna get fired, and damn, I'm about to squander a 73-win season Golden State style.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, big time. Hey, we got some football games this weekend. Should we get some predictions in? We're already 40 minutes into the show. If you haven't hit that thumbs up button yet, ding, make sure you're doing it for me over there. Let's do LSU Mississippi State first because I think the second game we're talking about tonight is going to be the better football game between Florida and Tennessee. Initial thoughts. Mississippi State was up 21-7 against Arizona. Okay, Arizona's driving, about to score, puts the ball on the ground 3 plays in a row. I mean, an absolute clusterfuck of an offensive possession. After that, I turned it off. Okay, Mississippi State got the ball back. I'm like, all right, this is midway through the second quarter. Mississippi State finna roll. I look up, and they're in a 4-quarter football game, dog. Like, about to get beat by Arizona, squeak it out.
Took a Hail Mary.
Yeah, what are our thoughts going into this football game? Love Zach Arnett's post-game show. Dropped an F-bomb.
Love it.
That'll do.
That's the best highlight of the game.
That'll do. Also, by the way, I think Mississippi State's like 125th in the country right now in passing attempts per game.
What?
That face right there. Loved it. Wish we would have got it. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Mississippi State and Will Rogers have thrown the football like 28 times through 2 football games.
Mike Leach is rolling in his grave.
Look it up.
Dude, he might
I'm
not.
doing it right now.
He might not reach the SEC record if he's doing that.
That's what I'm saying. Shouts out Aaron Murray.
Dude, Aaron Murray.
Friend of the show.
Aaron Murray's going off right
They are 119th.
Ugh.
Your boy don't lie. They are out here pounding that rock
You're
out there in
telling me
Mississippi
that
State.
they've only attempted 46 passing attempts?
That's exactly what I'm telling you.
What?
Will Rogers, I mean, good God, he must be pissed.
Aaron Murray might hold on to that title.
Shouts out. We should call Murray and let him know.
He'd probably have the same reaction I just did.
I bet he won't even pick up. You think he'll pick
You
up?
gonna put him on speaker?
Yeah, let's see.
This is just a
But no,
flex.
while you're doing that, this is one of those games where I can confidently say I don't know. Obviously,
don't know?
Obviously, I think LSU is the team that's going to win this game, but I don't know enough about LSU. Obviously, they got the shit beat out of them against Florida State. But other than that, what have they shown?
Where
me?
is this game? Do we know?
I think it's in Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge. Okay. That makes me definitely lean a little bit more to LSU. I also think LSU knowing that they have to run the rest of the way, basically, you have to win out. Or not necessarily because, I don't know, like you lost an out-of-conference game. But I just think LSU, Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, you have Mason Smith back now. You have Harold Perkins.
Murray the type of guy miss a phone call. And
We could have just
instead-
had the most epic moment ever.
Oh, I know. But Murray the type of guy miss a phone call and instead of calling you back, send you a text message and go, everything all right?
I do that all the time.
No, dog, I needed you,
Yeah,
bro.
I'm definitely
I'm
guilty.
not
I
gonna
called you twice. You know? What's
not-
that Tiger King?
Yeah.
I called you twice for help.
Never watched it.
Tiger King, it's a meme. Man.
Yeah,
I
dude,
thought you
you've
were
had to
meme
have seen the
king.
clip
I thought you were
before.
meme king.
You've definitely seen the clip.
I probably have.
Anyways, let's make an actual prediction here in this football game. It's wild to me that they're not throwing the football at all. It's also wild to me that they're about to crack into an SEC slate trying to run the ball. A defense that's going to give LSU problems, and it'll result into Jaden Daniels pulling the ball down and running quite a bit on Saturday. I think you're looking at a 24-17 type football game. I don't think there's a lot of scoring here.
Do you know what the
in
line
this
is
ball
right now?
game. I don't. I'm going to guess.
Go ahead.
LSU 7.5.
So, per 3 hours ago, it was at 9.5 for LSU.
And coming down.
I don't know what it initially started at, but it was at 9.5. The other game we're talking about, there's a trend on that, but we'll get to that later. But I think LSU is just going to out-talent Mississippi State. I can't really tell you otherwise. I mean, we saw them kind of give up in the second half against Florida State. We saw Mississippi State have to eke out a win against Arizona. I don't really know enough about either of these teams just because the sample size is so small. Did LSU have a bad game? Did Mississippi State have a bad game? Or are they both what they've shown us so far? I don't really know yet. It's 2 games, so.
I already think we did our expert analysis by letting the fans know that they're 119th in the country in passing.
yeah,
I think
that's
that's
insane.
going to drop everyone's jaw.
Drop
And
the
drop their drawers, too. Hey, man, I get naked for running the football. I ain't going to lie.
I'm going to let that sit.
Yeah, got to. You don't get naked for power? I get naked for power.
No, dude. Not at all.
Just line of scrimmage play, hand in the dirt.
That's the lineman in you.
Yeah.
I've got a funny story to tell you after.
Bro, that's a damn lie. I hated running the football. Like,
Yeah, see?
I think that's the most overblown, like misconstrued point ever. Everybody's always like, oh, offensive linemen just love when you run the ball. No, you don't. No, you don't. You know what I love doing? I love going, hitting that guy, going 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, ball out, trot, 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 to where the ball is marked. Okay, guy caught the ball. We got a nice, easy first down. You know what I don't love? I don't love running my face into 330-pound dudes. It's not great. It hurts. It hurts, man.
You like pulling, though, don't you?
Huh?
You like pulling?
I did. I liked pulling and getting out in space in college. I liked pulling in high school. When you're pulling in high school and you're just dominating guys, you put them on your highlight tape, that's great. When you get into college and it's a fucking collision, it's like a car crash. It's just poof, and two guys just go bang, and then they just collision and they stalemate. That hurts. Like I still feel those. Like to this day, I get out of bed and I feel my neck in a certain way, or I feel my shoulder in a certain way, and I know exactly what it was. I know exactly what it was. It was Greg Carswell.
Game is in
Period
Stark,
15,
Vegas, by the
August 7th.
That's
What?
what we were wrong. It's not in Baton Rouge. It's in Starkville.
Yeah, I saw.
Need more
I wrote
cowbell.
an LSU at Mississippi State.
Need more
Okay.
cowbell.
I should have corrected you on that one. That's on me.
It's all good, man.
But no, dude, I think that's the biggest misconception ever. Oh, offensive linemen love running the ball. No, if they did, they'd be playing defense because they love hitting people. I've told you that year over year. Talk to offensive linemen. Every single one of them are just like, yeah, football was fun. Talk to defensive linemen. They're like, I needed it. Oh, I needed to hit people. And it's like, bro, you need to see a therapist is what you need, fam. You don't need football, dog. Yeah, so I got LSU, but I got Mississippi State covering. Did we get final predictions? in?
I'm going to
said
go LSU, but I don't think Mississippi State covers.
Yeah, I said LSU by a
See, I got
score.
LSU by a good bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Need more cowbell. Ding, 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 ding. By the way, I know it was Georgia, and I know they blew y'all out, and I know it was raining, and I know it was cold, and it was gross, and it was middle of October and all that good stuff. Cowbell, overrated, not that loud. Shocker. Now, I have heard that it's the loudest environment ever if you're at the right game. I wasn't. It was not sold out.
I bet those egg bowls get pretty wild.
It was not sold out. They knew they were going to get just absolutely drugged, and that's what it was. But they didn't. That's the weird thing about Mississippi State for me. Y'all are under Leach. Y'all played Georgia tight every year because of the offense that you had.
I mean, they
the
lost
dink and dunk.
44-19 or something like that.
It was close going into halftime.
It's always close
It
going
took a
in.
Lad McConkey end around to the house.
It was
to really
close
break
going
that
into
game open.
halftime because they had a punt return.
Facts.
That's true. That's a good
Georgia
point.
was dominating them offensively. They had a punt return to score. I think they scored 19 in the first half because of the punt return.
It was
Oh,
right
dang.
before
You're
half.
making a face. What's up?
Georgia's assistant athletic director was just hired as the deputy of athletics director. He's the athletic director of Virginia now.
Oh,
Keith Miller.
Congratulations, Keith Miller. Give him 3.
I don't know if we should give him 3. Nah, screw it. Kevin Miller. Give him 3.
Tennessee, Florida.
Lexington, Kentucky.
what about it?
The bar.
Dang, good guy.
Yeah. Anyways, so Georgia lost an Associated AD today. That's all right. I'm sure they'll bounce back. Real heavy hitters right there. Yeah, we got LSU in this football game. Y'all got them to cover. I got Mississippi State to cover. Zach Arnett and the boys going to be playing defense and running that pill. Still can't get over that. 48 passing attempts through 2 games.
that's insane.
That's nuts for a football team that was throwing it 48 times a game the last 4 years under Mike Leach, RIP. Let's talk about this Florida-Tennessee game. Now, it's funny. I think a lot of analysis around Tennessee can get confusing. I think a lot of people will watch Tennessee football and they'll say, ooh, spread offense. Ooh, they throw the football. Ooh, big plays. Ooh, Joe Milton, big arm. Yo, that offense is about running the football. That's what that offense is about. That if you're going to stop Tennessee, you got to stop the run game, and you got to be able to do so with light boxes. That's it, period, point blank. Otherwise, you're going to leave corners and slot nickel defenders in one-on-one situations with really, really fast receivers. They're going to be blowing your top off before you can even imagine it. So if you can't stop the run, okay, and if you can't play man-to-man coverage defense on the outside, you will never beat Tennessee. That period, point blank, will remain the rest of the time. If you can't stop Tennessee and Josh Heupel running the ball with light boxes, and you can't play man-to-man coverage defense without having or requiring safety help, you won't beat them. They'll run it all over you, and when you add safeties into the box, they'll throw over the top of you, period. They'll win 10 games every single year doing it the way they're doing it right now. I truly believe that, okay, because they can run the ball really, really successfully. Here's the deal, though. The defense on the other side in Florida, they have the recipe, okay? Their defensive coordinator, Austin Cunningham, I believe his name. What's the last name? It's not Cunningham. Austin, okay, my mans, I like you. I like you a lot, little Kirby Jr. Look, a little chubby for Kirby Jr., but look, little chubby Kirby Jr., I like you a lot. You have great principled defense, okay? And when it comes to playing the recipe and style of defense required to beat Tennessee, they got it, okay? 2 names, Shamar James, Scooby Williams. All right, they're 2 linebackers at Florida. They're good. They're really, really good. You know how I know they're really, really good? Georgia wanted them both bad. Georgia wanted them both really, really bad. Didn't get them. They ended up at Florida, okay? They're great football players. They're playing really, really good football right now. Florida also has the ability to play some man coverage. Will they be able to live in man coverage capabilities? I don't know. But here's the deal. I don't believe in Joe Milton. I don't. And this is a really, really tough environment. It's not easy to go down there. And Joe Milton said, I don't lose in Florida. That's what he said. He said, I don't lose in the state of Florida. Is he from the state of Florida? I'm assuming so. But that's what he said at SC Media Days.
Weird thing to say if not.
Very weird thing to say if not. But I don't know. 9.5, I think is what y'all told me was the line. 7.5, 6.5.
Open to 8.5. It's down to 6.5 right now.
Also, Armstrong. That's his last name.
Austin Armstrong.
I believe it's Armstrong, but I think that's.
I like me some Coach Austin Armstrong. All
Yeah.
right. He looks like a chipmunk from Alvin and the Chipmunks. He looks like Theodore without the glasses. Go back and watch him. You won't be able to unsee it now.
Yeah, Florida does have a run defense to stop Tennessee's run. I mean, they're 23rd in run defense right now. They're allowing opponents to run for an average of 2.7 yards per carry.
And they're doing it with light boxes.
Yeah, 75 yards per game. They held Utah to 106, but then they went in week 2 and they held McNeese State to 46.
I heard there's some bad FCS football teams. I heard McNeese State was a pickup squad. That's what I mean. Those are Florida sources giving me that intel. So it sounds like Florida has led up to this football game playing the style of football required to beat Tennessee. Joe Milton has not played the style of football required to beat football teams who can limit you running the football.
They're obviously schematically everything you're saying is correct, but there's 2 things that I'm going with my gut analysis on.
Graphics utilization tracking.
That's the one. One, Vegas. People with the money know things. The fact that this line has been steadily coming down in Florida's favor is insane to me, and the fact that it's in the swamp as well. But it's also that, and I just forgot what I was going to say, so keep talking. Did you say something? I'll come back to it.
I was just going to mention
I've been there.
I was just going to mention the only thing that would hold me back from saying that Florida can really make something happen this game is the offense.
Yeah.
I really don't know if Graham Mertz can go in. I know he's at home, so that's a plus, but go in, play Tennessee, put up points on the board.
All right.
Really get
so here's the recipe. Couple short fields, pick 6. Couple short fields, pick 6, 16 points on the board. You can win this football game. There's a recipe. I really do believe that the moment a team can walk up, play 6 in the box, and say, all right, Tennessee, what's up? Today's all about Joe Milton. We're going to walk up in your shit, and we're going to play tough, roughneck defense, and we don't care. We don't. If you beat us, that's what Georgia's done. The last 2 years, and they're the only real team that's caused real strife with this offense. Everybody else, if you've beaten Tennessee, you had to score damn near 50 to do so over the last 2 years. So what did they do, and what did Pitt do? Pitt's the other football team. Well, that's what they did. They had a defensive line that could create internal pressure, meaning in between the tackles. Edge guys ain't getting home. You're not going to get there fast enough. They get rid of the ball too quickly. So Jalen Carter, or the first-round pick that Pittsburgh had, number 8, forget the defensive lineman's name, but that guy, getting immediate pressure, okay, in between the pocket, in between the tackles, and the ability to play man-to-man defense on the outside. Those are the 2 things I think Florida's going to be able to do it. The closer, I wish we were making this prediction at the end of the week. I think Florida wins this football game. Just something tells me defensively they are going to be able to do it. But they're so anemic offensively that I think the depth prevails that Tennessee has. I think too many snaps left out there defensively. I think eventually Tennessee scores with some explosives. I like Tennessee in a 21-16 football game, honestly.
I love Florida to cover, especially with this line consistently going down. It'll probably be at 5 by the time kickoff starts.
Tease it up to 9. It's a lot.
Yeah, but anyways, the thing that I remembered was this feels like the perfect game for Billy Napier to kind of get his, I guess, career or his regime at Florida back on track. Whereas Tennessee, this is just, we're better than Florida. We should win this game. No one is buying Florida to win. And like
A
we
big
said,
win like this gets Billy to 2025.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
Whereas Tennessee's kind of just, we're a national championship team. We've got a great offense. They're blindly walking through this game right now, in my opinion. They have so much more to lose.
Plus, you played Virginia to start the year, and then you played Austin Peay the next week, and now you're about to face a defense that can actually give you some problems, something that Joe Milton probably is not going to handle very well initially. I like the idea that there is definitely a recipe here for Florida to own the swamp and say, not this year, Tennessee, not this year.
Problem is now that all three of us are on this,
Ooh,
Tennessee's going to beat the shit out of Florida.
I'm not fully on
I
board
said
with this
Tennessee's
upset.
going to win the football game.
Okay.
You said Florida.
No, I said Tennessee.
You said
Oh,
you
you
said you like Florida to win
I said I
football.
like
Yeah.
Florida in the sense that they're going to have success, but they don't have enough depth. They're not 85 deep enough to play a team that's this fast.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm not buying the upset, but I'm liking it more than I did initially.
I like Florida to keep it close. It's going to take a fluky play, a pick six, a scoop and score for
Chat
Florida
likes
to win.
Florida. Chat likes Florida a lot. I think that's because we don't have very many Tennessee fans watching. But yeah, I don't know. We came into the season thinking Florida's going to be a bad football team. I think they still are, but I think
were
they're
right about that
relatively
one.
well coached. Yeah, we were very right on that one, but we can't give ourselves credit for the layups. Hit your layups. Appreciate y'all for being here. We'll see y'all tomorrow night. Love you. Bye. Make sure you hit that thumbs up on your way